Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today we are continuing on with our seasonal color analysis videos. We are going to be looking at the bright winter season. If you're not familiar with what is seasonal color analysis, season color analysis is where you look at your features as a whole, your skin tone, your hair color, your eye color, and then we look at the different levels of contrast between those features, and that will help you find which seasonal color palette looks best on you. In today's video, we are focusing on bright winter, which is a subseason of the winter family. Winter season is a high level of contrast with cool, icier undertones, with bright spring being a transition between true winter and bright spring. That means it's going to lean a little bit more on the cool to neutral side, which means you can get a little bit more warmth out of the palette than you could with our true winter, which is a predominantly cool toned palette. In contrast, you'll have something like dark winter, which is coming out of dark autumn, which is that transitional period from autumn to winter. So that is more of a neutral leaning cool with depth. Here in the bright winter palette, this is where you're going to see some really striking celebrities with their color palette. These people can pull a little bit more on the cool side. They can teeter into the warm side, but they always look stunning when wearing their appropriate colors. There's just something really kind of bright and kind of very magnetic or polarizing about their appearance. It just pulls you in. It makes you want to look longer because there's this bright kind of sparkle to them. And some celebrities that are a great example of a bright winter, in my opinion, are going to be Kristen Ritter, Katy Perry, Tom Cruise, Awkwafina, Olivia Munn, and Angela Bassett. Overall, winter is a seasonal color palette that really speaks to me because you have such a wide range of skin tones from very, very fair to very, very deep. And that way you'll have beautiful contrast between all of their features. Within bright winter, you'll still have that cool kind of iciness to the eyes. The whites of the eyes compared to the iris will have a lot of contrast. The lips will always appear a little bit more flushed compared to the overall complexion. The look that I have here today is a little bit more of a fun, whimsical look because I really want to play with that kind of transitioning into the warmer, brighter palette like spring. You can always take elements, pair it with something a little bit more neutral, and then play up whatever feature you want to that makes you feel the most confident. Without further ado, let's get right into this video. Alrighty, so I've done my foundation and concealer and brows off camera. So let's move on to color, and we are going to start with the eyes for this bright winter makeup look. So I want to keep my lid and definition on my socket line very, very subtle. So I'm going to be using a Better Than palette. This is from Raymond, and this is in the shade 06 Peony Nude Garden. Really beautiful, cool, neutral palette. I'm going to start with my BK Beauty 501, and I'm going to mix together this kind of more creamy matte shade with the pink next to it. And I'm going to apply this lash to brow as my base. Now I'm going to use a MAC 224 brush. I want to mix together this matte mauve tone and this kind of light medium neutral shade. I want to use this shade just to start mapping out my socket line. When I get out here, I'm just going to lift it. I'm going to build that color up just a little bit more, and I'm really working the shade all the way around from inner corner to outer corner, making more of like a dome shape because I want to create a nice kind of bright eye shape. And then I'm going to lift at this outer corner. For liner, I'm going to be using my Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil in the shade Smoke. And I want to create a very thin line here and then get slightly thicker through the midsection and then taper out. And then we are going to add on a little bit of an extension. Before I go on to do my extension, I'm going to take a little angled brush. This is a Morphe M165, and I'm going to start on the inner corner and just smooth that liner before it dries. Now that you have a little bit of product on your brush, look straight ahead. Find where your eye starts to slope downwards. Use that point of your brush, and we are going to create a little bit of a stamp and just create a very faint little line, and that will be your stencil for your liner. It can be tricky to line your eyes and create an extension when your eyes are a little bit more hooded. So I like to create that guideline, then you can go back in and fill it in. And then I like to use my brush again just to go through and smooth everything out. Okay, now that I have kind of like the base of the wing on, what I want to do, or what I like to do, is kind of find the high point of my socket and then pull in. So now you've created more of this like open triangle, and then just fill it in, and then we can smooth out with our brush. This is what you would call a bat wing liner, which is going to give the illusion of a nice wing shape that isn't cut off by the hood of the eye. Once you have both sides on, you can start playing around with the shape. I'm taking it more through my socket line to create a little bit more of kind of like a fun shape. This is almost like a play off like that mod eye shape from the 60s that was really popular. This part does not have to be perfect because we're creating a stencil. And when you go like this, it's gonna be dramatic, but when you're looking straight ahead, it's gonna be very subtle. I'm gonna go into my ColourPop on blue palette using my same brush, and I'm gonna pick up the shade called Airtime. Then I'm gonna take some MAC Fix Plus to dampen the shadow on the brush, and I'm gonna go over all the liner work we just did to add that nice kind of bright winter pop. Once I have that on, I'm going to take whatever's left and just kind of fill in this inner point of my lower lash line. So this way, that pencil's working as a stencil because Bright Winter is teetering into the bright spring palette. Think about the end of winter, where we are at now on the calendar. It's still a little chilly outside, but now you're starting to get blooms. Things are starting to feel a little bit more lively, more vibrant. The brightness of spring is influencing winter just to feel a little bit more warm. So now I want to take my BK Beauty A501 and I'm gonna go into the shade called Blue Taffy, and I'm gonna pop this right on this inner corner of my eye because we are still very much working with the winter palette. So that means there is a bit of iciness to the palette, and that's just going to help add that kind of freshness to the eye look. So now I'm gonna add a coat of mascara. I'm gonna be trying that Creme Shop Wisp Me Away mascara again. I'm gonna apply a layer to my top lashes and we'll be right back. I like the mascara more today. It's a very subtle kind of black mascara, but it's gonna give you a nice kind of like feathery lash, which is gonna go really well because it's gonna add a definition, but it's not gonna overtake the eye look because where you worked on the graphic shape, you wanna keep it grounded and kind of fun. So I'm gonna add a little bit of highlighter to my cheeks. I'm gonna be using this Hello Glowy Powder Blush in Sweet Glow. This is from the Pixie and Hello Kitty collaboration. I'm gonna use my Sonia G Fan Pro, and I wanna work this right high on the cheeks. I'm almost kind of work this up under the eye to meet the liner. So now let's add some lip color to see where this look is going to take us before we add blush, so that way everything can stay in balance. I'm going to start by lining my lips with my MAC lip pencil in Dervish. And now I'm going to use my Ramon Dewy Full Water Tint in the shade 06. I believe this is Tullian. Now that we have the lip on, remember, bright winter is a transitional season, where true winter is a true cool undertoned season. Dark winter would be a neutral cool season, and then bright winter would be a cool neutral season. So there's still a predominance of cool undertones, but you're leaning into those more neutral tones thanks to the influence of spring's warmth. For cheeks, I'm going to be using this little trio from Peri Para. This is called In the Moonlight. And bright winter is another season that doesn't do well with bronzing, so I want to try something different. Instead of contouring, I'm going to take my Wet n Wild, this is their P65 brush, and I'm going to go into the darkest shade in the palette, and I'm going to work this further back on the cheek because this has a little bit more warmth, which will help kind of create a neutral draping effect. Then I'm going to use my Real Techniques. This is the blush brush. I'm going to go into the middle shade. I'm going to work this towards the front of the cheek. And then just a little bit of the first shade in here, brighten it up a little bit in the very front of the cheek. I'm gonna go in with the brush I used to powder my face. This is a MAC 140. I'm gonna give that a little soften. And then just to help ground this look a little bit more, I'm going to use my Maybelline Hyper Easy Liquid Liner. And just along our top lash line, I'm going to go through and fill in the roots of the lashes very, very fine. Then I'm going to take my little angled brush and just smooth over it. Now I want to add just a pinch of warmth to the look to pull in a little bit of that brightness from spring. So I'm going to go in with that pinky shade right here. I'm going to use a Morphe x Jaclyn Hill JH32 brush, and I'm going to work that right through here. And then just to give everything a nice smooth polish, I'm going to use my Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder in Ethereal Light, and I'm going to buff over the cheeks. This will just help add that nice kind of like bright, icy element to the skin without looking too glittery. And if you get something like this on and you're trying out a fun look, because like something like this would not be like an everyday makeup. This is like using the colors in your bright winter palette to create more of like a fun going out look, because the winter season can handle that contrast. It can handle colors that really kind of pop and play off each other, like a cool pink with this like more turquoisey blue. But if that's too much for you, you can always blot down your lip and take your favorite nude lipstick. This is the MAC Love Me lipstick in the shade Laissez-Faire. And that will just help tone down the look a little bit. So this is going to be our finished bright winter look. Like I mentioned, this is more of like a going out fun look. If you want to really play with your bright winter elements in a more subtle way, then maybe just choose the lip and the cheek. Maybe do something a little bit more softer on the eyes. There's so many different ways you can use your color palette. And then if you want to create more of a neutral look for your eyes, look at the neutral shades in your palettes, which are going to be those cool, slightly more taupey browns, grays, even like softer blacks. Those are going to be great neutrals that you can use to shape the eye to a nice kind of smoky effect. But if you want to have fun, play with the spring, because as your season is transitioning into spring, think about the real world. Think about how as things start to warm up, we start going to more outdoor social events. You start wanting to have fun with your wardrobe. Have fun with your makeup. Find those nice contrasting colors that are going to really pop your features, really kind of pull the best version of you out. Show off your fun, whimsical personality. So if you found this enjoyable, stay tuned for the next video, which will be Bright Spring. And don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend, and I will see you all on the next video. Bye, y'all.